Hi everybody, it's me again, RPG Grandma. Got the D&D book out. And we got here a flame skull. All right. What does this have to do with energy? A lot. Okay. So, guess what I need? I need my screen. Because I'm trying to show you guys what I see going on. And just so we're clear, I've done some of this stuff. I've made corrections over the years, sometimes more recent, sometimes further back. I've played the way very energetically and then ended up not being energetic. So let's talk about that a little bit. I'm not trying to bash on you. That's not what I'm trying to do. I have better things to do to ruin people's days. I'm trying to address the problem that everybody says they're having. Nobody's role-playing. Players aren't role-playing. Or I went to a game and I thought it was role-playing and all we did was roll dice and it felt like a war game and not role-playing. Or you can't role-play that game. I don't know. I haven't role-played every game on the planet, so I don't know. All right? But I do know there's techniques that help or hinder. And sometimes there's some causes. So why do you have low energy at your tables? One of the things you need to think about. Are you just in a rut? You didn't realize it. Do you lack confidence? Even though you've been doing this forever. Are you tired, physically exhausted, for real, hurt, not feeling well? Was it an off game or has it become the norm? Why? Because only you can fix the things at your table. You are in charge. You're the Capitan. You are the captain of your own ship. Go game masters out there. So you need to think about these things. So I've got this up here. So what am I doing? We talked about the body language, and now I'm hiding my body again. Well, I'm trying to demonstrate the things I see. So let's talk about Mr. Flame Skull up there. I showed a picture of him. It's a skull, mouth open, red eyes, green flame, right? Scary, right? I mean, picture's cool. You can certainly just show the picture to your players. I even, excuse me. I want to sneeze. I even, a while back during COVID, made my own flame skull head from stuff. Yeah, I scratch built one. It's cool. I think it's cool. Here's the deal, though. That's not communication. I mean, the picture's useful. The mini could be useful. But let's talk about what tends to happen at a role-playing game table. And it doesn't really matter the system. Not really. Sorry, it's the truth. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many people from so many different systems complaining about their players, or players complaining about role-playing not happening at the table. So, but I'm going to put this squarely on DMs for right this second. And I'm not picking on any one person. So if you are having a knee-jerk reaction as we go through this, I need you to stop, count to 10, take a breath, and realize I'm not directing any malice at you. What I'm asking you to do is think critically about what you're doing. You think critically. You analyze what you're doing. Park your ego. Park your emotions. They're legit, but at the same time, they're getting in the way of you taking a step back and looking what you're doing. Kind of like everybody says they're a great and good driver. Yet, why are we always upset at each other on the road? If everybody is the great good driver that they think they are in their minds, Why do we even have car accidents? Just saying. Somebody's not a great and good driver, right? And a lot of things people yell and scream about in their cars at other people, they are doing themselves. So, role-playing games are the same way. You're the driver of the car. So let's talk about our car wreck. So you got your dice. Players are out here. DM rolls something. Looks over his screen. In the corridor, there's a skull floating with green flame and red eyes. And it's floating in the corridor. Okay. Players, our imaginary players, aren't saying anything right this second. Not because they're imaginary. Because I gave a very short description. But it was kind of a dead description. And it's lacking information. So what's going to happen next is another big complaint. Players going to ask questions. So we're going to start a cross-examination thing, right? And because they need some information I did not give them. That's the first two things there we're gonna need to address. But let's start with the second thing, which is I didn't give out enough information. Because I didn't. They don't know how far from where they are in the corridor to this thing is in the corridor. They don't really know what it is. Well, was I supposed to say a flame skull? Some people do that. They're like, and you see a flame skull. You see a bugbear. You see a brown bear. You see a dragon. Oh, it's purple. Whatever. You guys see what I'm saying? Is yes, information is being given. It can be the correct information for the thing, but it's dead. And it's not necessarily enough. Like, where is the purple dragon relative to the players? Oh, well, that's where we get the battle board out. And, okay, well, maybe no. Just stop. Stop with the battle board. And I like painting minis and crafting stuff. I made one of these from scratch. From junk. Made the flames even. Came out cool. It's here in the box somewhere. Okay, so I'm not hating on the people who love models and minis. Okay, I'm not doing that. Or people who like battle boards. Not doing that. Or people who want to get measuring tapes out. That's like a whole nother thing. But I want you to take the tactical prop stuff and all that and sort of put it in a box here. And go back to the previous couple videos where I said communication. Role-playing is about communication. I did not communicate effectively. If I'm communicating effectively, they shouldn't need to ask too many questions. Okay. And there's ways for them to ask questions, but they shouldn't need to ask me too many questions. So make sure you're giving them a clue how far away the thing is that's threatening them. In this case, a flame skull. All right. You need to throw them a bone. You need to tell them what the flame skull's doing. You told them it's there, but they have no idea what it's doing. They don't know what kind of threat level they're dealing with. They don't know if it's a physical thing, a weird ghostly thing that's not going to hurt them, a complete illusionist spell supposed to scare them off, or something that's supposed to raise an alarm. They don't know. Unless, of course, they've already experienced meeting one and the one that they met is going to be exactly like the one that you're presenting them with. And you want to suck all the life out of everything. In which case, we'll get back to that. That's another video as well. How do you end up with metagamers? Again, the buck might be stopping with you first. You may be the source of your problems. So, not saying like we've got a group that we're trying to teach, and we've got our own issues to fix at our table. Trust me, okay? But I can see how we can make things worse, not better, by choices we're making. So, or what rules we're enforcing or not enforcing, that kind of thing, or the conditions that we're playing it. You can see how all that stuff affects the gameplay. I can take a step back and look and go, okay, this is what the players need, support-wise from us to become better role players. Do you guys understand? So, that was pretty dead. I got the screen here still. I haven't removed the screen yet. Let's try that again. Because we know the player's going to have to ask questions. They may just sit there and look stupid at you because you didn't give them enough information too. In which case you're going to have to prompt them. Tim, I mean Alcazar. What are you going to do? Sally, what was your character's name again? Oh, Cindy. What are you going to do? And so on. Notes are helpful on your side of the screen, or by you, just so you can keep track of who's who. Okay. Nothing else. Now, so now you're in that prompting situation that a lot of people hate, who are game masters. But you're creating the circumstance for it, and then not taking responsibility for that, and you're putting it on the players. So I really want you to think about that. How are they supposed to communicate with you when you're only partially communicating with them? All right, so let's try it again, but with the screen still here. I got my dice. Roll the dice. And there's a skull floating in the corridor. The corridor is lit up by its green flames. Its eyeballs are glowing red. It's floating around and around and around. And, well, I don't know. I don't have any grid map to look at, but let's put it 50 feet away. It's 50 feet away. It's a long corridor. Okay, I give them more information. They now have a better description. Okay, it's floating. I move my hands around, right? They have an idea about how far it is from them. They still don't know what it is. Okay, now what's going to happen? They may ask you more questions. Or they may start talking to each other, which that's not a bad thing per se. But we're in a potentially dangerous situation, and they're going to have a 30-minute conversation about how to deal with the floating head. Not the best role playing. You're going to be like on your side of the screen, but at the same time, they're talking to each other. You need to light a fire underneath their behinds. Fire. It needs to be lit. All right. So you're partway there. You're not all the way there. And they're probably going to ask you some questions and they're going to phrase it not in first person, or they're not going to be asking the NPCs. Say there's some NPCs with them. If you're smart, you make sure NPCs go with them. Some way, somehow, NPCs need to go with them. NPCs are your mouthpiece. They're going to ask you some questions anyway. You're going to have to prompt them anyway. Description was better. They got more information, but we're still not there yet. All right. Oh, there's a dice roll. Let's move this so I can do what I'm going to do. I still haven't moved the screen. I still have most of my body language blocked at this point, right? Right. Everybody shake your head. Yeah. We saw the last little video. Okay. Suddenly, you see a green glow coming down the corridor towards you. They're not close enough to see the skull yet. They just see the glow off the green. The corridor is dark, but it's being lit up by this green glow, and it's rushing towards you. It's rushing towards you. I've just raised the threat level. If they weren't paying attention, they are now. Okay? It's going to get worse. You can see it's green flames engulfing a skull. Its eyes are burning red, glaring down at you. And its jaws are clamping. And it's coming, and it's coming, and it's coming, and it's flying right at you. Jump, 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 jump. Okay. Bunch of things just happened there. The more energy I put into my description, the more urgent they know the situation is. More than likely, they're going to go into battle mode. Every single one of those people, opposite of you. They are going, whoever's got the magic is going to be like, I can dispel evil, or protection from evil. I cast it, They may not even wait for their turn because the more energy, so if I drop this, we don't have this here, get the rest of this body language back. A green glow is rushing at you down the corridor. As it comes into view and it gets closer, you can see it's a skull. Its beady red eyes are glowing at you. Its jaws are clumping. They're coming. It's getting closer and closer and nearer. It's coming fast. You want the face. You want to throw your body into it. You are telling them quite physically, not just with your words, but with your actions in front of them, that they can see that something is rushing in on them quickly. They have to take action. And more than likely, they will start talking out of turn. Don't worry about it. And they will start telling you what they're doing. And they will start telling each other what they're doing. They do not have 30 minutes to plan. They know this. If you want to drive it home more, you do something like, you just keep track of what they're saying. You give them no more than a minute. And not a minute individually, but a minute for the group. And as soon as that minute's up, whatever was said, that's what they're going to be allowed to do. Attempt to do. Do not give them time to sit there and go, well, it could be this and it could be that. Because if by some bizarre chance in real life these things were to become a reality, and you and your buddies were in a dark hallway somewhere, and one of these things came screaming at you, whether you were armed with a knife or a firearm or not, or pepper spray, or are you guys going to stand around and have a 30-minute conversation? You're not. So go ahead and put the pressure on them and keep it on them. Do not let them duck out of the pressure. That will make this scary. That will make this exciting. Now, remember those little minis I said, pretend they don't exist? Once you've got the pressure going, if you really want to use minis in your game, that is when you put the skull out there for them to see your little cool toy. All right? Prior to that, you don't put it out first. You put it out after you have turned up the pressure on them and have them doing stuff where they're like, where is it? Where is it? How close? How, you know, and when they're saying that stuff, just consider that they're saying it to each other. If you've got an NPC in the group, then speak for the NPC. But do not sit there and be monotone and dry about it. And the reason I'm saying this is role-playing game mechanics. I like role-playing game mechanics. I'm weird, okay? But role-playing game mechanics, they have their uses. But you can get stuck in the binary coding rut. And the binary coding rut is yes, no, on, off. Okay? 0, 1, 0, 1. That's what it is. And roll for initiative. Yes, you got it. No, you didn't. Roll your saving throw. Yes, you saved. No, you didn't. Roll to hit. Yes, you hit. No, you didn't. All right. Now, that's a lot. See how mechanical, even the terminology. So think about how to change your terminology. Think about how to tell somebody something super close, something's rushing in, some, near, far away, near, far away, closer. It was far away, it's halfway. It's coming closer and closer and closer. I mean, if you're not worried about battle mats and stuff like that, you can really get a little abstract and fudgy with your distances, and that's okay. Because for role-playing purposes, it's the excitement, it's the drama, it's the threat, it's the challenge. For tabletop tactics purposes, it's the mechanics, it's the math, it's the distances, it's the wargaming. And I like both, but I understand they're very different things. And you can put too much of one into role-playing, and it can kill your role-playing. You can put too much role-playing into something that needs the mechanics, and it can mess up basically a complicated version of chess. So try to really understand what you're doing in the game, when different things are more appropriate. D&D has parts of wargaming in it. D&D came out of that. Other games have that. I'm not saying don't use the tools, but figure out when the rules and tools are appropriate for what you want to achieve on your table, and take responsibility. Now, I said you can only control yourself. You can't. The amount of energy I put out will cause a reaction from the players. If you put no energy out, you're going to get no energy back. You put a lot of energy out, you're going to get energy from somebody. Even if you got a bunch of people who are lumps and normally not focused, if nothing else, they're going to be like, whoa, something's going on. Okay? And there's bound to be somebody at the table who's like, oh, the game is on. I need to do something. So once you and that one person starts interacting, other people will start picking up and they'll start interacting a little bit more. And that is what we have been observing in our tabletop game. And we're not even going full bore yet. We're working through a lot of things. And I have a very different game style than the other dungeon master. All right? So, like I said, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to throw things out because I keep hearing how people don't seem to know how to role play. All right? If you're not pretending right, this is all it comes down to. When you were a little kid and you played a policeman, you played a policeman. I'm a policeman. Stop. I need to write you a ticket. I need to do this. You pull over your friend and who's pretending to be the guy who was speeding on the big wheel, right? You got your big wheel, right? Big wheels are great. Weren't they great? Anyway, so you got your big wheel, woo, 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 right? You make the noises. You made the noises. I know you did. Woo, woo, woo. And your friend's like, oh no, I'm getting a ticket. Because he saw his mommy get a ticket, right? Or his daddy. I got to pull over. And then you get out there with your little piece of paper. You can't even write really. Scribble, scribble, scribble. You have a ticket, sir. Have a nice day. Cops, right? We did all that kind of stuff as kids, We pretended to be Smokey and the Bandit. Oh yeah, Smokey and the Bandit. Remember that? You had the little slot cars. Ranger Rick. G.I. Joe. And I grew up in, most of my neighbors were boys. They're not going to play Barbie. Okay. Okay. So, but I had Weebles and stuff like that. You had the Weeble daddy, talk to the Weeble mommy. You played out the dialogues. You pretended way better. I am asking you to go back to that pretend time, pull it forward, and take your insecurities, that's the word I'm looking for, put them aside. Because what I'm doing and filming for the internet here, I look silly. I know I look silly. There's even, I'm actually in a game. It was one shot up on YouTube somewhere. You can go in and critique me. Did I do everything the way I totally wanted to do in that game? No, I didn't as a player. But it's okay. You're gonna slip. They're gonna slip, especially if you're trying to correct something. But pick one or two things for the group to work on, for you to work on, and for them to work on. Use timers. There's lots of tools. We can get into all that, but your biggest asset is the energy you bring to the table. You're the coach. You're the team leader. You cannot expect your team to be excited when you're talking in binary code and you're more monotone than Mr. Spock, and Mr. Spock shows more body language than you do. And we at least get to see his face. You can't expect the communication to go well. So if you want the communication to improve, you start with you. Start with you. And once you have you working the way you want you to work on at least a couple areas, start working those players if they already haven't started to catch on. If you need to give them new rules, like, okay, this is the new plan, guys. We're going to try this out. Yeah, I know we've done it this way for 20 years, whatever. Or for the last 2 years, or 5 years, or 6 months. It doesn't matter. If you're not getting what you want out of the group, this is my suggestion. Start with you. You're gonna find all sorts of stuff. I'm not saying don't watch the videos on motivation and backstories and all that deep stuff and storytelling and plot. There will be something, probably, maybe, of usefulness you'll pick up there. I'm not saying I am a better DM than all these other people on the net. And I'm not saying I am a better player. I consider myself mediocre, average, got some bad habits, do some things that are probably right, do some things that people think probably not right, do some things some people will like, do some things some people don't like. I think I'm mediocre. That's okay. And then I can look at what I'm doing and go, well, I can improve this thing here. Why don't we do that? If you think you're perfect, you're not going to change anything. You're going to wrap yourself up in your ego, and you're going to complain about your players not bringing it, while ignoring the fact that you might not be bringing it. So if you want the Gonzo game, if you want the heavy role-playing game, you have to bring something to it. And it's not a script, and it's not finding the backstory for a deep motivational plot, moving blah 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 blah, thespian blah blah blah. And I'm not saying that understanding drama can't help. It can. Just like I said, speech, eye contact. Because, look, I'm talking to you. I'm making imaginary eye contact with you out there. But if I was talking like this the whole time, looking up here, no, my eyes are turned away from you, that's probably really weird to watch on your end. It's going to be the same thing in real life. That came from speech class. All right? Speech class also said, use your hands. Use your hands. Speech teacher knew what she was talking about. All right? If you go take a drama class, they're going to tell you to move your body, and they're going to, you probably have to take some kind of body language class so you can learn how, different body positions. Seriously. I can improv certain things pretty darn good. Because I've seen it a million times when people are angry. There's a guy who, and he's yelling, screaming, and cuss words, and he's stomping back and forth, and he's pacing back and forth, right? Chimpanzees actually do that too, but they usually have a big stick. But it's an intimidation thing. It's primal. It's primate. Humans do it. Chimpanzees do it. I like it when dudes do that. All I can hear is the guy from, with the accent from a wildlife show. And the male chimpanzee is doing his threat display. I can't help it. It's so hard for me not to laugh and make the dude angrier. But it's a human thing. We do that. When we're mad, sometimes we do this too. Okay, so you are aware what people do with their bodies and what that information is being sent out to the other people. Why do you shut it off just like that when you sit down to play a role-playing game? Why do you do that? And you cannot blame it on personality types. You cannot do that on this one. I'm an introvert. I enjoy quiet time alone. I like figuring out time dilation, mathematical problems for spaceships in role-playing games. Or genetics. Just because. I want to read that scientific paper. Your guys' eyes would glaze over if I started to go down those roads with you. I know better. And I've seen the glazed eyes, and many a times when I'm ecstatically talking about something, somebody asked me a question, and I have gone past what they wanted to know, full speed, warp speed. I am now 100 light years away. Left them in the dust, and they're just like this. They're glazed over. I hyper-focused on something, and I left them, and that's because I'm an introvert. And now I've got to roll it back and go, oh, yeah, don't you like to play Scrabble? Switch subjects. They're done. They're done with what I was talking about 30 minutes ago. Okay, so that's why my videos tend to be long. I'm an introvert. Yet I've learned to be outgoing. There's lots of reasons that happen, but I have learned to do it. So if you are an introvert, if you are super analytical, and I think a lot of DMs are, We get excited over game mechanics. Seriously, we do. Even people who role play well, who are DMs. Seriously. If you're talking to me about bell curves and how a bell curve is superior to a 20-sided dice, statistically, I may agree with you, by the way, because you're using 2 6-sided dices or 3 6-sided dices in the game. And there's a difference in the game mechanics between these 2 games, or 3 games. And why you think a 2d6 is better than 3d6, or the 20-sided, or a D100 game. Right? Everybody's not analytical. You're shutting down right now. I said enough to already start to shut you down. But if you're like, oh, yeah, let's talk about that. You're one of my people. Now, understand this. You're part of my tribe. The majority of people you're going to play games with aren't thinking like that. So you have to cross the bridge to them, not the other way around. There's things that, because the way I analyze stuff internally, I can point out it's going to happen. I can even explain. I'll sit there and try to explain it to other people, and they'll be like, no, yeah, you're just talking gibberish. That's not going to happen. 6 months later, the things happened. It went down exactly the way I tried to outline it. And then it's, how did you know? It's not because I'm more intelligent than them. It's because we think different. I'm capable of analyzing. It doesn't mean my IQ is better. They might be very smart, but they don't analyze and process the data the same. They're not noticing the same things for whatever reason. They're wired to notice other things. I'm wired to notice other things. It's just the way it is. Okay? I could try to warn them about things if I think it's going to be important, like the economy is going to crash and you need to have a job that's protected, like the last time it did that. And otherwise, you're going to lose everything. Oh, Laura, you're wrong. They lost everything. So I'm just trying to put it out there that you think differently. It's quite possible. As a DM, you do probably think differently. So where your comfort zone is the charts, the statistics, the game mechanics, tactics, all that stuff. You're really comfortable with that. You're comfortable with the mechanical language, comfortable with binary coding, even if you're not a software code person. But believe it or not, you actually probably are very comfortable. And if you learn binary, you would be talking to me about binary. The thing is, your players don't care about binary. They just want to play a game and have fun. And you can sit there and tell yourself, I'm not responsible for them having fun. No, you're not. You're right on one level. But you're also wrong. If every game they come to is torture and misery and boring as heck, we're going to stop playing. And then you won't have anybody to play with. You know, it sounds kind of sad. Now you're the little kindergartner with nobody to play with. Some things don't change a whole lot. We get bigger. We get older. We learn more words in our vocabulary. We think we learn and stuff and become super smart. But on some levels, things don't change much from when you're a little kid to when you're an adult. So work on your communication skills. Cross the bridge. Learn to communicate differently. Bring energy to your table. Bring energy. Bring energy. Bring energy. This is now a 40-minute video. I should have done in chunks, but we're not doing that again. I have silence right now. That's the important part. No dogs barking, no kids, no piano playing. Do have the TV in the background, but that's okay. No cussing, no things slamming around. I tried all day to get this filmed. So that's what I'm putting out there. Start with yourself. Take responsibility for your table. Take responsibility for yourself. Bring the energy. Bring the energy. Use your body. Use your body language. Project. Put your body into stuff. And I guarantee you, they're going to start getting a sense of urgency. They're not going to ask you how long the thing's coming because you just told them it is bearing down on them. You told them everything they need to know. They don't even need to know the name of the thing. Next video will be on how you might be contributing to metagaming. That's the next one I should do. Because the buck stops with you on some stuff. And the more you learn to accept that, there's our dog sound. The more you learn to accept that, the better chance you have of correcting the problems at your table. This is my opinion. This is based on years of life experience, just working with people in general. This is based on what I see happening with our play group. The more energy I put into, as a player, to the table, the more energy is coming back. The more people are loosening up. So let yourself be silly. Let yourself be a kid again. Something's clicking around in here. Must be a dog. And let that energy come out. And if you are tired, if you are exhausted, you're human, and that's okay too. Let your players know. Compassion, people, for each other. And the players could be having an off day, some of them. So keep that in mind when your guys are playing. But try to get out of this rut of very mechanical talk, very mechanical, low energy stuff. Maybe you won't be able to do a 4-hour game like that. I know some people like to do the super long games. I can't do those anymore. A kid, sugar, caffeine, pizza, not a problem. As an adult, my work schedule and stuff, problem. So figure out what your golden hour is. Maybe it's 2 hours for your play group. Maybe you can really only keep them focused for an hour. In which case, you need to light a fire under their butt. Like, boom. Okay? You only got an hour to get something done. Other than wander around aimlessly in the town village, okay? Maybe it's 2 hours. But after 2 hours, things start to go wonky with the players. Figure out the stuff. So we'll get into more of this, and I'll try to make the video shorter because nobody wants to sit through a 40-minute video. I know that. So, like, subscribe, comment, tell me off, whatever. But think about it. Think about your body language. Think about your energy. Think about your eye contact. Think about if you're giving them enough information before you start jumping on them for asking you questions and mother may I's and all that stuff. Because first you got to start correcting things you're doing on your end. And then you can start working on them. Because some things may self-correct. We'll be like, wow, I only had to prompt people half the amount of time I normally have to. That really kind of worked. Okay, how do we get it to like 99% of the time I don't have to prompt them? Let's see, you set goals. So we'll talk about that. Baby steps. It's cool, but baby steps. But you can change things, by experimenting. Experiment on your players. Experiment on them. But the experiment starts with you. You have to experiment on yourself first. Anyway, peace out, people. Have a good evening or good morning. This is going to post whenever I post it. So have a good night. Bye.